Welcome to Inland Empire Alive, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I'm David Brady, and on today's program, I'll be joined by Zared Ibarra with the San Bernardino County Fire Protection District to talk about fire safety around the home, as well as how to reduce the risk of wildfires. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. With summer approaching, that means fire season is upon us. That means it's time to think fire safety. Here with me now is Zared Ibarra from the San Bernardino County Fire Protection District. Thank you so much for being on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we are approaching summer, and that means wildfires, it means grilling, it means a lot of additional activity. But this year, we had so much rain, we've had so much snow. What is the risk? Is it any different this year?
Well, just like any other year, I think fire season seems to be year-round, kind of seems to be the theme in California.
We're a desert.
Now.
It's a very dry area.
So I know this season may be a little bit more, have a lot more fuel out there than normal. However, like I said, just maintaining the home safety tips that we can provide from our website that you can pull, or any knowledgeable education that you personally have within your home, especially in the wildfire areas. You want to make sure that you have all the safety tips to be able to keep your home safe, not only yourself, your home, your property, if you have animals, anything of that sort that can possibly benefit you in any way to keep yourself safe, and also for any first responders that are going to respond to your home if need be, whether it be a medical emergency or for a fire, to be able to have the proper tools and provide anything preliminary so they can respond appropriately.
Well, let's talk tools. One of the basic tools to have around the house is a fire extinguisher.
Correct.
Are there different types of fire extinguishers? They all seem to look alike, but I would imagine there might be differences in what comes out of them.
Yes, so there is different classes of extinguishers. Typically your standard is an ABC. ABC, you have an A, which would be ordinary combustibles. Wood, paper, anything that would be ordinary combustibles. You have B classified fires, which would be any liquid fires, oil, gases. That's going to be your Bs. You have your Cs, and that's any electrical fires. Now, your standard extinguisher at home is your standard red extinguisher, and those are typically you can pick up at any local big box warehouse, and it's an ABC extinguisher. It covers all three classifications. You do have some specific extinguishers such as D extinguishers and K-class extinguishers. D would be more for a specialized fire such as a special metal, magnesiums, anything like that is water reactive. They are specialized extinguishers, or K extinguishers. Sometimes you may walk through a restaurant and you see a big silver extinguisher, and that's considered a K-class extinguisher. Okay. And those are specifically for grease fires, in opposed to, like I said, there is other ones, but your standard that you'll have at home will be your standard ABC extinguisher, because that's what your is most used for at home.
So everybody knows what they look like.
Correct.
But when you're put to the test for the very first time, it can be very intimidating, I can imagine, to what do I do? And I understand there's a very simple acronym, PASS. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely.
And is it intimidating to use one for the first time under those conditions?
Yeah, we actually provide extinguisher training that they can actually sign up for through our website at sbcfire.org, or either call our local office. And we actually have a publication officer that will actually go out and educate people on how to use extinguishers. But yes, like you said, PASS is a very simple acronym that people can utilize to remember, especially when teaching younger kids. It's a very simple word. You use the ball, they pass the ball around all the time. So PASS, it's no different than passing a ball. But the first P would be pull. I mean, there's a pin that locks the handle in place and prevents you from extinguishing the agent that's actually inside the extinguisher. So first P is pull. You pull the pin. A would be for aim. You want to aim the nozzle and in the right direction at the base of the fire. However, when you grab that nozzle, you want to ensure that you grab the edge of the nozzle, the tip. Otherwise, when you go to expel the agent,
it's just like the cartoon.
It's the crazy hose that goes everywhere. So you want to keep control of that hose. So you grab it at the edge and you aim it at the base of the fire. Your first S is going to be sweep. So you're gonna, squeeze. The first S is gonna be squeeze. You're gonna squeeze your extinguisher, the handle, and that's gonna actually expel the agent. So you're gonna squeeze it and sweep. The last one is S, which you're gonna sweep the base of your fire. So pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. So it's very, when we do extinguisher training, we try to keep that in mind. We make them spell it out, we make them pronounce it, and it helps them just, that muscle memory to remember.
Right, the simpler you make it, it just kicks in and
Absolutely.
It's not, I'm recalling it, it's there.
Correct.
Let's talk about other things to have around the house. So you see more and more that folks are advertising carbon monoxide alarms. Is that something that a typical homeowner would need these days? Are they generally something that you should think of?
Yes, so that's actually very important as well. Now, carbon monoxide, if you have a fuel burning appliance within your home, some fireplaces are they have natural gas. Your ranges, if they're not electric or if they're gas, a lot of your heaters, they are gas. You have appliances within your home that are actually gas, and those actually produce carbon monoxide if the fuel doesn't burn properly, if you leave the gas on. It's a colorless, odorless gas that could potentially harm people. Now, the carbon monoxide detector will actually detect any of those gases. That will set off an alarm and notify you to either ventilate your house,
Wake up
or get out of your house to be able to and then call 911. They'll go out there and they'll take the appropriate needs to ventilate the house if need be. But like I said, having that carbon monoxide alarm in case you do have a leak or of some sort, you're able to be notified and get out of your house in a decent time.
And then I saw more and more the idea of actually installing home sprinklers. So
Yes.
What's the idea in terms of how necessary that would be in terms of a house?
Well, for
residential, I guess.
Residential sprinklers is actually required within California. So any new construction homes that are now built actually come with fire sprinklers. And that's basically your 24-hour firefighter within your home. So given the fact that they are designed for life safety, they are not there to protect the property. However, they are there to, if you do have a fire in your house, reduce the incipient stage of the fire and be able to get someone out in a decent time or get everybody out of the house. They're not designed to save the building. However, like I said, that's why you still have to call 911. But if you do have sprinklers in your home, you want to be well aware of the basic knowledge of them. A lot of homes now, if you shut off your domestic water supply, will also shut off your sprinklers. So if you do have a leak, you want to be well aware when you go to sleep at night if you are shutting off your domestic line because you're having a plumber do some work or you have a leak or some modification you're doing to your home, you want to make sure which valves you're shutting off. Some depending on the jurisdiction that you live in, will actually have a dedicated fire meter where you can actually shut off your domestic line and not your sprinklers. But be familiarized with at least the basic education of your sprinkler system, whether you're shutting it off or not at any point in time.
We also hear so much about preparation ahead of time in the form of making a plan. Especially for families. We might be separated. This might happen in the middle of the night. Talk to me a little about some of the elements that go into that planning.
Absolutely. So I think the easiest way is I can give you another acronym, EDITH, exit drills in the home. And especially when you have smaller kids, it could be a Friday night, Saturday night. You want to draw a basic diagram of your home, where the bedrooms are, where the restrooms are, your living room. And with kids, you can make it a fun activity. You say, plot a fire somewhere in the house of the diagram, and you say, which way are you getting out? Now you have to make them well aware and know that every single bedroom should have a minimum of 2 exits out of the room. One being your window, the secondary being your door. Now, the second thing is that you have to make sure that you have a meeting point, because if the parents' room are on one side of the house and the children's room is on the other, and if they have to, for any unfortunate reason, go out the window, they want to have a rally point where they're able to meet up. Because if there's someone that's not accounted for and the first responders show up, they can immediately relay that information and say, hey, you know what, we're missing such person, or we're missing an animal, or something that's not accounted, or someone that's not accounted for. You want to make sure you relay that information. So having that laid out plan and practicing it, like I said, not just paper, but practicing it. You set it off in the middle of the night. You can set off, you have a test alarm on your smoke alarms within your home. You can always set it off in the middle of the night and see how your children react, or even if you have elderly as well, you can actually practice those.
You talked about elderly and you mentioned pets. Tell me a little bit about the importance of including folks where there may be a language barrier, there may be some physical challenges, animals, folks that need medication or oxygen, that those have to be built into the plans as well.
Absolutely. So even in case of an emergency, you want to be able to notify, let's say if you were to have, especially if you live in a wildland area, give that for an example, you want to have something basically ready to go. You want to, if you're displaced from your home, you have to be well aware of where you're going to board your animals. If your dogs take any animal or cats or of any sort, medication, a leash, a cage, somewhere where if you are going to take them with you, are you going to be able to take them with you wherever you're going to either have to board them or if you're going to stay in a hotel or stay with family, have a pre-planned set ahead. And with elderly too. Like I said, some elderly may not be able to respond to an emergency, so have a plan in regards to how you are going to safely get them out, if you can first. If not, like I said, you call 911 and you relay that information to the first responders that arrive.
Given this region and the general fire risk, is it generally a good idea in any year to have an idea of how I would evacuate?
Absolutely.
Is that something that people should always be, I mean, you never want to think about those things, but in any given year, is that something that you should just, what would I do if, fire was sweeping down, my street?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, given the geography we have within the county, San Bernardino County is one of the largest counties in the United States.
It is the largest.
Yeah, so about almost 24,000 square miles. So given that, we have some areas that are we have urban areas, we have the mountain regions, we have desert areas. So depending on which region you live in, and if you're in a wildfire area, you want to be well aware to be able to which way you're going to evacuate. Like you said, you're going to leave your house and pre-plan ahead. I mean, like I said, the faster you leave and you exit your house and leave the remote area if there is a fire, the faster the first responders are able to get in there and do their work. Now, some communities, especially in the mountain areas, you're limited access. You have so many ways out. So be well aware of which exit is your best option if you need to leave a mountainous region or a wildfire area, which route you're going to take.
So for wildfires, talk to me a little bit about this idea of creating a defensible space and it could be around a home, it could be around a business. What steps can you take to reduce the risk to something that people care very much about, have a lot invested in? What are the preventive steps you can take?
Absolutely. So, primary being your home. Obviously, there's a lot of memories that are created within a home and people cherish their homes where they live in and they want to do absolutely everything to save their home. However, your life safety is the most important thing as you can do. We want to prepare you and give you the basic education in regards to preparing your home in case you need to evacuate and first responders having at least a fighting chance to save your home. But I mean, defensible space can be basically broken down into two zones. Zone 1 would be a 30-foot perimeter around your house. And the very simple way to remember the 30-foot perimeter around your house is lean, clean, and green. So anything within that 10-foot, 30-foot perimeter of your home, you want to make sure that you have no dry vegetation, no dead vegetation, and if you have any trees within that area, you want to keep them cut back. Let's say if a tree were to catch on fire and if it's impinging on your home, it's just going to transfer that fire directly onto your house. So you want to keep it as green and as lean as possible within that 30-foot perimeter because that's the closest area to your home. Now, the secondary area is going to be a 100-foot perimeter. Some areas are, maybe a couple acres, but if you have the ability to maintain a 100-foot perimeter, especially if you're on a slope, you want to keep that as clean as possible. Any dry vegetation, if you have trees, branches, anything that comes down during the fall or anything of that sort, you want to keep clean. If you've done any construction or you just have things that you need to discard, put them in the appropriate receptacle containers so they're not laying around the property and just fuel the fire. And some properties that will be in rural areas will actually have propane tanks. They're not fed by your natural gas company that is in the urban areas. So if you do have one of those, let's say 100 to 500 gallon tanks that you have out on the outskirts of your property, the most ideal situation for that would be a concrete pad, to keep it on a concrete pad. However, that's not always the situation. So if it is anchored to the ground, you want to make sure that it is scrubbed down within a 10-foot perimeter down to bare soil. You have no no weeds, no leaves or anything of any sort.
No
that
fuel.
Any fuels, basically any fuels that could fuel that fire and create a higher hazard for your home and for any first responders that would be actually responding to your home. Given that, like I said, in case of an emergency that you do need to leave your home, you know that you're going to have ample time to leave your home because you've done everything you can to create that defensible space for you to be able to evacuate your home
bought you
properly.
that time.
Absolutely. It buys you a little bit more time.
So with summer, we talk about grilling, we talk about camping. Tell me a little bit about the risk that those present. That you've got folks that maybe you don't have to have a license to operate a barbecue.
So I think it comes down to just being mindful in areas. If you don't want to have a barbecue that's directly backed up to your property, you're under eaves. You want to keep at least a safe perimeter. And every home could be completely different, but a 10-foot distance is actually a safe distance to keep your grill from your home. You may have to go inside and grab, some more meats or something while you're grilling, some more hot dogs. Little Johnny wants some additional hot dogs, and you got to run inside to grab something else from the refrigerator. You want to make sure that your grill, your smoker, anything that you're utilizing to cook outdoors, if it were to spontaneously create a fire, then you want to make sure that that's a safe distance from your home. And always keeping an extinguisher at hand. That's an also big part that plays into that role as well.
Well, let me ask you, do you ever find that folks buy the extinguisher, but then they put it in a location that when a fire breaks out, it's very difficult to get to, or it's not optimal, it's hidden under the sink in the kitchen, and you have to dig things?
Yeah. So I know they're not the most pleasant thing to look at, especially if you have some nice decor in your home and you don't want this bright red cylinder just sitting out on your counter or on your wall. But putting it in a location where everyone is aware, notifying all the family members, hey, if something were to happen, like we said, educating them on how to use an extinguisher and the location of it as well. But with that as well, shake it up from time to time. The agent that sits inside the extinguisher actually sits at the bottom. Every month or so, give it a good shake. There's a gauge on those extinguishers that actually have a needle that'll tell you whether it's fully charged, it's lost pressure. So you can get those serviced. But like I said, a garage is a great location for them. If you have access to your garage directly from the inside of your home, is a great location. But if not, you can always have multiple. There's never enough that you can have. So you can put one under the kitchen. But like you said, being well aware of where you're storing them is ideal as well.
Before I let you go, I want to make sure we call out the website yet again, because there is a tremendous amount of resources. It is.
Absolutely.
We'll put that up on the screen as well.
It'll be sbcfire.org.
And one of the things I thought was fascinating about the website is you use a mobile notification system, and people can actually register their mobile number to receive text messages and email messages.
Correct. In case of an emergency, they can go onto our website, they can pull all that information and actually register. And if it does affect in your area.
Right, they're targeted too. You're not going to get blasted in the middle of the night because of something in Barstow. It will be targeted to
your geographic location. So
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, so that way you're well aware and you can prepare with time in advance as well.
Well, summer is coming. There is still time. Make a plan, prepare. We want everyone to have fun. We want everyone to do it safely. Zared, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been so helpful, so informative, and we look forward to having you back to tell us more next season.
All right, absolutely.
If you'd like to be a guest on Inland Empire Alive, email us at guest@iealive.com.